Hi there, I am Sarah Kolis. Welcome to the Dressing Up podcast, where we talk about all things bridal, dresses, and general dressing up topics. I love to encourage women to dress up while expressing their personal style with confidence on how to do so. Visit sarahkolis.com to book a bridal alterations fitting or even inquire about designing the custom couture bridal gown of your dreams. I'm so excited to talk to you about this next topic. Let's get started. So this episode has been in the works for a long time. So definitely since May of 2024, just this past May, but really for the past several years. And we'll explain ourselves here in a moment once Erin and I get together. But Erin and I now work together. So I'm no longer a one-woman show. She helps me get a lot of the sewing work done for a lot of the typical bridal alterations. And then I work on a lot of the more challenging alterations or more unique custom projects. A lot of what we've been sewing lately is, of course, the wedding dress alterations, but also a lot of other sewing related projects that I just kind of wanted to list off to you here. So, of course, the vintage redesigns have been so popular as well. I've seen a spike in that. And that's when you take your mom's or your grandma's gown and change it up a little bit to wear for your rehearsal dinner, your bridal shower, brunch the morning after, late night wedding dress, whatever it is that you're wearing it to, so we can kind of revamp it a little bit and get it to fit you properly. And we also work a lot with other pre-worn wedding dresses. So if you just got married or you have your mom's gown, grandma's gown, want to make a christening gown, a baptismal gown, those have been new lately. I just started offering it this year. I've been asked about it for many, many years, but now that I have Erin working with me, I have a little bit more room to breathe and I'm able to take on some of these more fun projects. Turning pre-worn gowns into holiday ornaments, into scrunchies. Those have been fun. By the way, I can also do holiday ornaments and scrunchies from the extra fabric cut off from the hem of your dress. If you're coming to get your dress altered with me, you can ask me about that. And then lots of other fun little projects that we have listed on the shop page of the website of sarahkolis.com. So Erin and I have been busy sewing away. This was a really busy year. It's been so much fun to not be working by myself any longer. So she has her own little sewing machine set up over here, and then I've got mine on the other side, and we just sew away together all day. I still work a lot with the actual fittings of the brides, and then she gets a lot of the basic alterations sewn up. And again, I work on the more challenging projects, but it's just been so great to have her. And we've been wanting to do this for so many years. So it's awesome for so many reasons. Obviously, I get more sleep at night, so that's been great. I actually have a little bit of a personal life now, which is not typical for me. So I'm still learning how to adjust into that. I love my job so much. So it always just feels like my life and work are one and the same. But also, if, God forbid, there's an emergency where I can't be here at the last second, I am so thankful that I now have someone that can just step right in when need be. Of course, I don't want anything to happen like that, but we can never predict the future. And it's always, always good to have a plan B. I mean, anyone planning a wedding right now, we all know we have all these checks and balances to make sure everything's running smoothly. In 12 years of doing business, I have never, of course, never let a bride down. But now that I have Erin here, I can make extra sure of that. And we always have so many backup plans and everything in place, but it's mostly just great that we get to work together and enjoy spending more time together and actually having a sewing friend around that I can talk about sewing things with and get second opinions on. And I also want to just say thank you directly to Erin. I know you're listening to this. Thank you for all that you do. You do so much, and I'm so thankful to have you in my life. And then also thank you to Erin's support system, all of your family. I know you're listening right now. Thank you for helping her out as well. And I'm just so glad that I get to have Erin a part of my life. All right, let's get going. I'm actually really excited for this episode.
Me too.
Yes. Have a very, very special guest today, Erin Conner.
Hi, everyone.
Now, if you don't know Erin already, we work together now. So as of May, Erin has started working here as a lead seamstress. So Erin and I can both sew.
Yes.
And you're actually my only sewing friend.
Yes.
That's my same age. Within the same decade of me. So this is exciting to have you here.
Yes.
Today.
I'm excited. It's been a little crazy year jumping right in, but it's been so much fun.
So much fun. SEW. So much fun.
Oh gosh. All of our punny jokes.
I really enjoy that I'm not alone anymore sewing. Like you and I can actually chit chat about sewing and you know what I'm talking about.
Maybe cry laughing just a little bit.
We laugh at what I think other people would consider really stupid things, but because we understand it, it's been so much fun.
Yeah, for sure.
So I've really been enjoying it. So I'm going to talk about 3 big topics today with Erin. And this is a podcast that it's been a long time in the making. We've been wanting to do this, but we've been so busy during the crazy wedding season. And now that things have slowed down a little bit, we can finally do this and I can finally formally introduce Erin to the team. So 3 big things I want to talk about today would be you learning how to sew and that journey, and then how we met, which I love our story. And then this just a synopsis of this past year. So what I do want to start with, just a little icebreaker question that I ask all my podcast guests. Do you know what it is?
What's my favorite thing in the closet?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would say right now it's chunky sweaters.
Chunky sweaters.
Although I can't wear that sewing because I get threads in it a lot. Like I'll just come home and be like peeling threads out of my chunky sweaters. So yeah, those are like what I like to wear when I'm out and about. Nice, warm, chunky sweater.
I love that. What color?
Like reds and greens, gray, anything. I have green eyes, so I like try to pull anything out for my eye color. So it just pops.
What you have on now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I love this time of year. It's like the thicker the sweater, the better.
Yeah.
High neck, like turtlenecks. I get cold very easily. So I love that it's socially acceptable to just like layer up in the winter. But yeah, that's great. All right, so let's go back to the days of little Erin.
The little Erin.
The little Erin and learning how to sew. I actually don't know your full story of learning how to sew, so I'd love to hear it.
Okay. I mean, I don't think it's like super special, but we'll hash it out together.
Yeah. Well, it's unusual.
Yeah.
You know, what we do is very unusual. So it's going to be a special story no matter how it played out. But
so I started sewing when I was 12, and the draw to was Barbies, which I'm sure you can relate to some sort of doll thing, right?
Absolutely.
I just picked up a hand needle and started hand sewing dresses for my Barbies because I didn't like what they had, or I needed to change something that they had. And it just kind of like escalated. We're part of the era where jean skirts were really popular, but you add things onto the bottom of the jean skirt.
Yeah.
So I wore lots of those. I made lots of those. It just kind of like kept progressing. And the thing I remember the most was 5th grade, actually. I wrote this I don't know what you want to be when you grow up article. And I wrote that I always wanted to sew dresses. And like, it's kind of crazy that here I am, 31 years old, living out that 5th grade little dream of mine.
If we only knew each other back then, I so wish we did.
Yeah, not the same school district or anything, but pretty close.
We could have been just a few miles away from each other, really, I think.
Yeah, so we weren't super far.
I was looking for you back then, Erin. I was looking for sewing friends. Too bad.
Yeah, you were secretly sewing like all of your clothes. Yeah. I was like secretly sewing all my dog clothes.
Yeah.
Needing their outfits to be just a little bit better.
I think we would have been really good friends had we met when we were kids.
And I think you said the story, you'd never told people that you sewed.
Yeah.
I also would never tell people I sewed because I think the perception of sewing, I mean, maybe some listeners might think it's a little old school, and that's okay, but it's just what we love. It's great. And
I've always been told I have a lot of grandma qualities. And I see that as a very good thing.
Yeah.
I love grandmas. They're great people.
I think like my biggest characteristic, I think even you noticed with working with me this year, is I do enjoy hand sewing. And I think it's part of just because of where I started. I started hand sewing things.
And bridal, you have to love hand sewing.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah.
Beads and lace. I love hand sewing myself. It's very tedious, yes. But when you get the chance to just kind of slow down and work with your hands, it's kind of nice.
Yes. Yeah. So I just really like enjoy that process of doing the slow down. Granted, sewing machine is very nice and efficient. I do love that too. But hand sewing, it's kind of like you were like mending the pieces together. And, you know, it's a very beautiful process.
Yeah. Well, with what we do, we get all kinds of wedding dresses that walk through the door. So you never know what's coming. And every dress is so drastically different and what needs to be done to it. So it's kind of always a surprise when you unzip the bag and get to work. You're like, is this going to be a kind dress or a little bit of a pain? but we work with it all. We do it all. So
yeah. And it's actually funny that you said that because I feel like when I unzip the bag, I'm always super excited. Like, oh, what's it gonna be? Like, is there beads on it? Is there, am I gonna be peeling up lace today?
Yeah.
Or a fitted crepe one that we're just gonna go zoop around the hem and be done?
Are you gonna get lost on the inside through all the layers of proof? Or is it gonna be a light, tiny thing that you just set on the table?
It's like Christmas. Ooh, what is it?
Yep. How do you feel about sewing bridal versus other types of sewing?
I mean, I love it so much better.
Yeah.
I feel like bridal dresses, and we go back and forth about like whether constructed right or whatever. Especially
we're always critiquing the gowns.
We're always critiquing the gowns. But I feel like for the most part, they're generally made super well that they would just be a process that's like simple. Like you can get into it and you understand it. I know that's very, very vague, but you can really like look at something and understand like the structure, the built, everything of it that you're like, okay, this is how you go about doing this. Like the inside of the dress is the directions that we're going to go through to make the changes. And comparably to like other things I've sewn, and I've sewn like some crazy things like dog costumes, there's not a whole lot of direction. You just kind of like make things up as you go, and that part's fun too when you can be creative. But I would say like it's nice when there's a nice structure, everything gets put back together exactly the way it was.
Yeah, I would think, and I'm speaking for both of us, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I enjoy more structured, sturdy gowns as opposed to those little stretchy, like hip hugging type of dresses.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, for multiple reasons. But I think from a sewing perspective, like how they're constructed, I think the structured gowns are a little bit more high end and couture to me than the stretchier ones. But there's a lot of stretchy dresses these days.
Yeah.
So it's hard to avoid.
Yeah. And those ones have the fun lace and beading. So
they do,
you never know what you get, and that's always fun. But yeah, I would say like that's the part that excites me about the sewing is just going through the motions of like you open it up and you get to find out what's inside so that you figure out the best way to put it back together.
Yep. It's always a puzzle.
Yeah. A fun puzzle.
Yes. Anyway, so we jumped ahead, but going back to learning how to sew, I'm curious, where did you get your sewing supplies? Did your mom sew?
I think no, my mom never sewed. My grandma did sew, my dad's mom. She did some sewing, but I would say that like I think I just found like a random hand sewing kit from my parents.
Yeah.
Stole it. Yeah. And they never got it back. And I used all the thread. And I think when I was out of thread, I went to my parents and was like, hey, I need more thread. And they're like, well, what for? And I'm like, well, I'm making things. So like, I think they just like went to Walmart and didn't know what I was doing and just bought me like thread, not even like probably matching colors. There's probably like black and white. And
that is so funny. I've never ran out of thread before.
Yeah.
I don't know. My mom, I guess, had some stuff.
Yeah.
Even though she didn't sew, but she just had stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. I think I just like kind of woke up one day and was like, I don't like that. I think I can change it. And then just figured it out.
That's so great.
And then from there, just escalated into just loving art classes in high school. And then going to art school and getting my BFA. And
can you tell us what school that was?
Yeah. So I went to the International Academy of Design and Technology. It's just a technical school. So I went there, got my BFA 4.0. I had the highest grade in class.
So good.
I love that. All my pieces that I sewn were showcased. So that was super cool. Like we had like a little events that we'd have at the school, and mine was always like in the case. So that was always super fun. And I loved patterning in school, like the system that we worked with. It was so great.
What system was it there?
We did Gerber.
Okay. That's awesome that you learned that.
Yeah. So we did all that in school, and I love that. I thought that was going to be the route I went, like, and there's so much in fashion that you think you're like, oh, I'm going to do this.
It's a very broad industry.
Yeah. So I thought that it was for sure going to be patterns. Like I was like, oh, I love patterns. This is like so fun. It's literally imagine like putting puzzle pieces together, like on a screen. That's what you do for a living. And I was like, this is great. I love puzzles and I love finding out the best way to utilize material without waste. Like, yeah, sweet. Let's do this. And then I graduated school and I worked with a handbag designer named Jenna Cater. She's a Michigan designer. So that was super fun.
You've probably seen her purses in a lot of Michigan
boutiques.
Gift shops and boutiques. Yeah.
She's really popular in Mackinac Island if you're familiar with going there. And
I see her stuff all the time and I'm like, I know them.
Yeah. So I worked with her for several years. And then in that process too, I guess I kind of skipped. I worked at David's Bridal Alterations where I met the lovely Sarah Kolis.
A day that changed our lives forever.
Yeah. So I'll give the brief and then we can go back to how we met. But so I worked there too while in college. And then after college, worked at Jedicator. Then after Jedicator, worked in automotive, doing patterning. Same thing as Sarah.
Crazy.
Literally the same thing in a different company.
Our life journey is very like parallel.
Yes.
Very parallel.
We've had a lot of like connecting trains together that like literally lead us to like now we're here. Now we're here together.
Sounds like a train crash.
In a good way.
In the best way.
So yes, then I was in automotive for 7 years and now I work at Sarah Kolis Custom Designs. So this is great. I found out she was going full time, taking on her business and no longer being in automotive. And I would always like secretly hint at her like, well, if you ever need anyone, like all these random text messages, well, think about me in the future. Like it would just always like random at random points.
And I was thinking the exact same things. I'm like, Erin's got a newborn baby at home, but someday I'm just gonna be patient. And I was genuinely growing my business in such a way that I was working a lot. Yeah. But I'm like, but someday maybe I'll have help. With a certain someone. We kept hinting back and forth like, this is something we both want. So. Yeah.
And then like the day came and it felt like, I think for you, maybe you felt the same, like, is it real? Did it happen? Like, are we doing this together?
I mean, this was years in the making.
Yeah.
And we'll go back to our David's Bridal days, but like even back then, I do remember we had a conversation like at David's Bridal.
Yeah.
Like, I think you mentioned it and I was like, yeah, I'm thinking that too. Like somehow, some way, you and I will do this on our own someday.
Yeah.
And that was like 10 years before we actually did it.
Yeah, it's crazy. It honestly, it was almost like someone like planned our lives out that we met each other and then we would have all these like obstacles and then we just like keep circling
We'd find our way.
Yeah.
That's so
right. It's so fun.
The way life works. I love it.
Yeah, it's so cool.
We've done good.
So I would say that's my 12-year-old to 30-year-old. I guess I shy my age life. That's what happens when you have 2 kids. You just get old.
We're aging, Erin. We're aging together. But yeah, let's maybe circle back to David's.
Yeah.
So I worked at David's during my first summer of college, and I just was looking for a summer job and just genuinely driving around. And I was like, David's Bridal. Like, I've always wanted to work in bridal. That sounds amazing. So I got an application there, and then I went back to turn the application in. And I was standing there waiting for someone to help me to give them my application. I mean, this was a paper application. I feel like we're aging ourselves. They probably don't do that anymore. But this woman walks by who happened to be Barb, my future manager. And she's like, hi, ma'am, what do you need? And I'm like, oh, I'm just turning in an application to work here. And she's like, oh, that's great. Like, do you know how to sew? And I'm like, yeah, I do. And she's like, no. Do you know how to sew? And I'm like, yes, I can sew. And she's like, wait, you know how to sew? And I'm like, yes, I know how to sew. And she's like, okay, you should be applying for the alterations department. And I'm like, oh, tell me about that. So one thing leads to another. I get in there and it was a fabulous summer. I was just like, just in awe. I just loved it so much. At that time of David's, we just had a really awesome team. I'm sure they still do, but the people that we worked with at that time they were just incredible and trained me and Erin up very, very well. So that was the first summer. And then the second summer, I come back after college, like they're calling me. They're like, you're coming back for the summer, right? Which worked out great for college students because the wedding season is the busiest in the summertime, or at least at that time. Now it's really fall, but then I come back to work after college and they're like, oh, Sarah, she's not here today, but there's this new girl, Erin, that's working here now. And she's like your age. And I'm like, what? And she knows how to sew? Are you kidding me? Actually, Pam, in the moment, she was telling me like, oh, there's this girl that's working here, Erin. And she said this right away. She's like, you two are going to be best friends. And I'm like, oh my God, I have a best friend I haven't met yet. I'm so excited. And it was so weird because for the first 8 shifts of the summer, we were never scheduled at the same time. And I'm like, Pam, like, are you sure this girl exists? Or are you just like pulling my leg? Like, where is this girl?
I also thought same thing. I'm like,
It's
she's
weird.
on the schedule, but she doesn't exist. I don't know
I was like,
when she works or if she works.
It was so weird because then the whole rest of the summer we were on the same shifts like every single time. We'd converge at some point. But so meeting Erin was like very anticipated for me. And then once we finally met, I'm like, there you are. And then we had a great summer together.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I remember one particular shift that was like very fun for us. You might remember, I don't know, but all the like senior workers in the alterations department was taking that particular shift off, and it was you, me, and Lily. And so it was and Lily was a CSR, so she didn't sew, but it was like 3 young girls holding down the fort for that evening, and it was like a big deal. It was just really fun to just like have the 2 of us and Lily, and we just like had a ball. But so here we are now. I don't know.
Actually, that's funny because I think like when you think about it too, because we're such young sewers at that point and we were dealing with bridal dresses, I remember getting questioned like, so you know how to do this, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, like, and we're like so confident. Yeah, we know like, these are bread and butter. We can, we love this. Like, and they would just be like, I remember someone asking, because I was really fresh out of college, like, is there someone a little bit older that can help me? And I'm like, I can help you though. Yeah. And like by the end of the appointment, they like completely, like trust us. Like we're just like 20s.
You're so right.
And
I feel like I still get that today. But it was even worse before, like when I first started, and then also when I first started doing it on my own, I felt like I spent the entire first appointment trying to convince people that I knew how to sew. Yeah. And that was really frustrating because at that point, I genuinely had already been sewing for 15 years. Like I was more experienced than some of the other people we were working with. It was kind of a lot of wasted time because you're trying to convince them that you know what you're doing. And I feel like I still get that a little bit today, but it's definitely gotten better. So someday when we're like actually look visually older, it'll be a lot easier, I think. Like then people will finally believe us.
Yeah. I just thought that was so funny. And I'm just like, no, I got you. And then like by, the second appointment, they're just like, wow, you were right. Like, this is so great. And you were such a big help. And, and sometimes people just have a perception about things, right? But I know what I'm doing. Like, I'm glad to help you. I'm here to help you, So it was fun.
I think that sometimes I've worked with brides at David's or on my own, and like being younger is almost helpful because the bride really connects with you. Yeah. Because the bride is your same age. And actually the first several years I was in business, all the brides were always older than me. It was like weird because I'm always trying to like, I don't know. It was a different dynamic. But I think that they thought that I or we like knew the latest trends and we were like up with what young girls wanted. And so that part's helpful. But yeah, we know what we're doing. So
yeah, it's fun.
We're not the stereotype of what you think.
It's weird that we're young, but we have like decades of experience, and that's the thing that at the end of the day, like for me, when like I made my own dress, like I wanted someone who was knowledgeable, like decades, like who spent the time when you're young, picking things apart and doing things to, making your own wedding dress from scratch, and I actually pieced my wedding dress together from my mom's and my grandma's and kind of did like a vintage redesign with a more modern twist.
That's a good talking point. You should talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah. So that was something that was super cool to me to do, and being able to just like take things and manipulate. That's where I would, trust the confidence, and it's what we enjoy. So every time you guys come in here, you're always going to see the passion come from us and how we get excited when we see the dresses and see them on you, and we'll get the goosebumps and the butterflies too with you guys because it's like, it's so fun. Like this is a big day, and this is a day like, I'm even getting goosebumps right now. Yeah. This is like a day that like every little girl, we look forward to. We always pictured like what we would be in or
how we would feel.
Yeah. And we want to like embrace those experiences here with you guys. Like we want you to have those moments and feel confident and beautiful in your dress, whatever way you want it to be when we fit you. So
I'm not shy to say I have the best job ever. Like we have the best jobs ever. People often are looking at me and they're like, you have a really cool job. And I'm like, I know. It's the best. We get to help women feel beautiful and be a part of those really, really special moments in your big
memories,
day.
The biggest memories.
Yeah. And it's truly our goal to help you feel beautiful. We don't care about anything else at the end of the day. We want you to feel good, and we want to cater the alterations to what you want, not just a science project that's the same for every bride. We want it to be fit to you and how you want it.
Yeah. Like we can give you all the suggestions in the world when we're there with you, but being in the dress and you kind of like leading the direction of like, this is how I feel, this is what I see, it helps the alteration process because we see something different than what you see and we don't feel what you feel. So we want to know those things like this doesn't feel right here, or, you know, I think I might trip. You know, those are things that during conversation, just let us know. We'll make the changes.
We want to hear it. We want to hear all your concerns, what's making you uncomfortable, all of that. And of course, we will do our absolute best to cater to every single thing. Sometimes, you know, we got to just find the best case scenario. Sometimes we can't have two things at once and we got to kind of make decisions together, but we're going to help you through all that and help you make the best decisions with you. So I think just thinking about your wedding dress, Erin, it's like just more proof that we were living these parallel lives. Because you got married, was it 2 weeks or 3 weeks after me? I think it was 3.
I'm so bad with math.
I think it was 3 weeks. So Erin got married 3 weeks after I did. So we were just a couple weeks apart and we both made our own wedding dresses.
Yes.
And it was really fun to, you know, have that engagement period together and celebrate the weddings together. But that's pretty rare for someone to make their own wedding dress.
Yeah.
And I think that was just a cool experience for both of us. But tell us a little bit about your wedding dress. Like, what did it look like and the process of making it?
Yeah, so I don't know my hours like you, but I know
you have all that data and these pie charts and graphs. No, I don't have that.
So I started it in December of 18 because I got married in 19, and I finished at the end of February. And that was with being
you were cranking it out.
Yeah, and that's what was working full time too.
Oh my goodness!
Actually, I think I was working my 2 jobs by then. I couldn't give up David's Bridal, so
at least it was the slow David season.
Yeah, so it took that long, which to me felt like forever, but I guess it was cranking it out.
Yeah.
So I took the shell of my mom's dress, but my mom's dress had sleeves on it and I didn't want sleeves. I just wanted like a thicker strap here. It was like a gentle V-neck. I put like a little lace and beading up just to my shoulders. It was an A-line that stopped at my natural waist and then just kind of flared out gently. I used my grandma's buttons all the way down the back of my dress.
That is so cool.
I took the lace off the bottom of my mom's dress and wrapped it all the way around mine. Now, I didn't really like my mom's material. So like I said, I just used her under, and then I applied a layer of like some really open lace and then this really cool looking plaid material. I don't know why. I just like was obsessed with it. Like it just was like a sheer plaid. You only saw like the white lines like crisscrossing each other like this. And it was under the lace. So it just kind of gave like more textured illusion into it. So that's what it was. Just a simple over bustle. And so then I used my mom's veil, but I put it on a comb because she had hers on a hat.
Oh, I love
and I was not wearing a hat.
Oh, that's amazing. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to try to pull up a photo of Erin's gown.
Oh, yeah.
On here, so you can see that. So you're going to have to send me
yeah,
photos.
For sure.
But yeah, I mean, that's absolutely incredible. Like, what a cool thing to be able to make your own wedding dress. And now you have a daughter, Ava.
Yes.
Are you thinking ahead?
Is she gonna use mine?
Yeah, or pieces, or try to, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, mine could be a cute little cocktail dress. We could shorten it and remove the lace back up and do a redesign. But I think like for her wedding dress, we'll probably just do 100% from scratch.
You know, someday, if and when that girl gets married, like she's gonna have she's gonna be well taken care of.
Well taken care of, spoiled.
Very spoiled. She'll be in the studio like every other week, like trying stuff on, I'm sure.
Sarah will be like, okay, bachelorette dress, going out dress.
We need more dress. We need more parties. We need more dresses.
More dresses. Yeah, no, she will definitely get some special treatment. It was cute the other day. I was talking to her and she said, I love making patterns with you, Mama. And I'm like, she has no idea what that means, but she loves it. So that's great. Great. She'll be sitting here on those machines working with us.
You know what's also funny? That's another, I just can't, like, with the similarities of our lives. You have a sister getting married next year, and so do I. Around the same time. My sister's June, hers is in August. So we're kind of chit-chatting back and forth about the roles we're playing in their weddings and how we're helping with their dresses and everything.
Yes.
So that's kind of fun.
Yes. There's so many like weird intertwined connections in our lives. Just crazy how alignment really just placed it right together.
Yep. And I'll touch on this briefly, but we both, after college, we both worked at David's Bridal, and then I left sooner than you did. You kept on going for a little bit longer, but working 2 jobs, but we both left and worked for separate companies in the auto industry doing the same job.
Yep.
Trim technician, trim engineer, basically pattern makers for automotive car seats, not child car seats, but actual seats in cars. We did the pattern making for at separate companies, but same kind of thing. And, I really did like it. I really, really liked the job. Did that for 6.5 years, 7 years, whatever, about the same time.
Yeah, 7 years for me.
And we both loved it. And I think you have similar feelings that I felt like I didn't belong there. I really, really, really enjoyed it. But like my passion at the end of the day was the dressmaking of any sort. So with COVID happening and just, everyone reevaluating their lives, the 2022 wedding season was a huge boom and I wanted to be a part of that. So I finally took my business full time. And then 2 years later? Yeah, 2 years later, Erin, jumped ship too and joined me. But when you joined with me, it was a week before my other sister Melissa's wedding.
Yeah.
Just that week, poor Erin was like thrown into the wolves. Like there was no sense of training. Like I knew you knew what you were doing. Like we literally were trained by the same people. Like I knew that you were going to be fantastic. I've always been waiting for that day. And I even debated, I'm like, should we wait like another week until after Melissa's wedding, whatever? But I'm like, I need help like right now. But it was kind of chaotic in the beginning, very chaotic for poor Erin. We got the studio being completed literally that month. We had Melissa's wedding going on, and you didn't come alone.
No.
You came with
a baby. Yeah, so I actually worked the whole season with a newborn, so it was busy, but it's time that I'll always cherish. Like I was just thinking about that the other day. We had our son in March, so he was 2 months when I started, and
he was a little tiny
little baby, and now he's very close to being 1, and just being able to see him grow and work and do what I like. I mean, that's just not like, there's nothing better I could ask for. It wasn't easy by any means, but that was one thing when I had my daughter, I said that I didn't want to miss out on the growing, because when they're that little, they grow so fast. And I know a lot of you guys can relate to that. And the days are long, but the time goes so fast, and it's well worth it. He used to take naps in the pink room. We always made a little joke about that. Yeah, we always made a joke about that. A little boy in a very, very pink room taking some naps.
This place is not masculine whatsoever. So Everett grew up sleeping to the beautiful hums of a sewing machine.
Yeah. And the girls being so happy in their dresses. Yep. It didn't even faze him. He was excited.
Oh my gosh. He's never going to remember that, but
nope.
I wonder someday if he'll find the sewing machine noise just soothing for him, maybe. But
nice
I loved it. It was fun. So with Erin doing what she does, so basically I do majority of the fittings, the appointments with the actual brides while she's upstairs of the studio sewing away. And of course I help with the sewing too. So it's kind of, we're doing it together. So it was very easy, not easy, easy for me to see her just have Everett next to you while you were sewing. So you were able to kind of attend to both. I'm sure that was really, really difficult for you. But it was really cute to see, and I got to watch Everett grow up a little bit, and it was just so much fun being able to see him almost every day. And I think he kind of got to recognize my face and all that, so it's just, he loved my skirts.
Oh yeah,
I always I wear a lot of skirts in the summer, and he just loved looking at my skirts.
How they nice and flow.
He's so sweet. So I haven't seen him in a little bit, and I miss him.
Yeah, he's getting big.
I know,
he's getting very big.
So good. Okay, so bridal sewing. Do you have any certain tips in regards to wedding dress alterations that you like for brides?
I would say that don't be afraid of the let out. I feel like that's always been like something I've
That's a good
been working with a few brides. They're like, oh no, I'm gonna lose a little bit more. And that's great. Like we don't discourage any working out or any lifestyle changes you want to make
or not make.
or not make. Yeah, or not make. That's
Yeah.
perfectly fine. But we can always let out. And like that shouldn't be a scary word. Like think
I
about
think
like
we should explain what letting out means.
yeah, okay, sorry. So
If you're
to
not
let
familiar.
out a dress is we're gonna, open the seams up a little bit to give you just a little bit more room and,
Essentially make the dress a little bit bigger.
bigger. Yes. But not bigger in a bad way. Yeah.
Yes.
So sometimes
Bigger and better.
yeah. Like sometimes there have been cases that I worked with brides and they just naturally have a wider rib cage. And sometimes with all the boning in the dress, it just doesn't sit where it's supposed to sit. And I suggest, let's let out the dress a little bit. And then they instantly get a little worried and scared, like, oh, I don't want to, it's snug, But my suggestion would be like, just let us, because we don't want it super snug because then your dress could move down a little bit with you as you're dancing and moving with the night. We want it to just gently rest on you and be on your body, but not fighting against your body. And really, at the end of the day, when we're doing that, it's such a small amount we're letting out that we're not making our dress drastically bigger. It's so minuscule.
So tiny.
And it makes a world of a difference. It honestly does. And especially more or less, I'm saying with like strapless dresses, because then you don't feel like, I know I hear a lot of brides say, I don't want to be like pulling it up all night long, right? So the result to not being able to pull it up all night long is to let the waist be perfect, whether we're taking it in the right amount or if we're letting it out a little bit so that it's just perfectly around you. And then you're not even going to touch this. You won't even notice your neckline at all for a strapless dress.
That is really good advice. Something we've been getting a lot these past couple years is the made with love dresses. And those are very, very, very tight in the hips. If you go and look on their website, you'll even see the models who are so like toothpick skinny or not, but it's always like way too tight on their hips. So I have to let that out of pretty much every made with love dress that's a fitted style. And that is so normal, but I have seen poor things. I've seen so many brides cry over that.
Yeah.
You feel fat and you're not.
No.
It's just how the dresses are made. The designers choose these size charts. I swear, I always joke, I swear they're designed by men like overseas in other countries that have no idea what our bodies look like. And it just is what it is. And that's where we come into play. And we want to make it look beautiful on you no matter what alterations we have to do.
Yeah. And I think at the end of the day, like remind yourself, the only people that are going to know that the dress got let out are us and you, right? Like when you're on the wedding day, no one's going to come up to you and ask like, is that the original dress size? Like, no, no one's, no one's going to say any of that. So we're here to make the dress fit you and like whatever that entails. So don't think that those words are scary. They're not scary.
And please know that size truly is just a number.
Yeah.
Don't care about what the number is. You just got to pick a number. It's just a number, okay? And in bridal, it makes you feel worse about yourself because if you think you're normally a size 4, you might be a size 8 in bridal. It's all over the place. So please don't care about that. And then I always suggest take the suggestions of the bridal shop workers that help you determine what size you need. And I'll tell you this in detail, okay? So when a bridal shop says, oh, you're between a size 8 and 10, so we're going to go ahead and order you the 10. And this happens all the time, okay? And you just say, okay, yes, that sounds great. That's your recommendation. That's what I'm going to do. But in the back of her head, the bride thinks and wants to lose 5 or 10 pounds. And then that would drop you down to the size 8. So then by the time you come in for alterations, the dress is way too big. This happens all the time. And this is because the bridal shop, I don't think that they should do their process any different. The bridal shop is not going to ask you if you're planning on losing weight. They are not going to ask that question. That is an absolute no-no. But if you speak that to them and you say, hey, by the way, I'm planning on losing 7 pounds, tell the bridal shop that, because then that would open the doors to have that conversation, that they're not going to bring it up to you to begin with. And I hope that's not too controversial.
Yeah, no.
But they're truly there to help you, and we're here to help you. So we need to know these things and know what your plans are and talk about these things.
Yeah, and they might even know, like, hey, if you end up losing even more or not losing enough, right?
Mhm.
They know their dresses inside and out. So they can make a suggestion like, hey, okay, so you're telling me about this. We can go this way. And then they very well know what's inside the dress as well. So they know that we can make whatever manipulations there needs to be and alter it the way that needs to be done, whatever way you float. So there's lots of wiggle room.
This is so true. And I know from personal experience myself, I think when brides do lose weight, it's usually like the last weeks before the wedding. So if you come to alterations with us and you know you still want to lose 5 more pounds, we need to know that too. You know, it's very hard to do, so you might not achieve that. But in a perfect world, you would not come see us for alterations until you're done getting to the weight that you want to get to. And that I would personally even prefer you delay your alterations fittings until that can happen. And also, I just want to point out that it can go the other way too. Like if you know you're about to get on a new medication and it might cause you to gain weight, like we kind of just want a heads up on that as well.
Yeah. And I think that's another reason why Sarah does the timeline that she does for pickups. Like, don't be scared of 6 weeks. Don't be scared. Like, if you really want the 8 weeks, you know, we work with it too, but 6 weeks is more than enough, especially when you are still trying to make changes, you know? Then we can kind of get you in the last couple bit. Oh, you need a little tweak, no big deal, you know? Like, so that's what we're here for.
Just know that 6 weeks is still plenty of time for us to do what we have to do. Don't worry about that. We do that all the time. But if you are concerned and you're like, I have my dress and my wedding's not for 5 months, like I need to do something, then you can come in for a consultation. You'll come in, try the dress on, we'll come up with a plan, and then we'll actually begin the alterations closer to your wedding just to make sure that we don't have to do things twice. That's an option. Totally optional. Totally optional.
And we're looking forward to seeing you guys this season.
Yes,
2025. I think we've already kind of had some
a few January brides.
Yeah, that and some summer brides coming to visit us really too. So
for consultations.
Yeah.
So we're doing a lot of wedding dress alterations, of course, but this year we really want to get into a little bit more of the non-bridals. So now that I have help, we're trying to get into bridesmaids even more. A lot of people ask like, oh, do you alter bridesmaid dresses or mother's dresses? I totally do. As of right now, I haven't been advertising for it, but we are more than willing to do those dresses as well. So what you can do is if your mom's coming to your alterations appointment for your bridal gown, she can just bring her dress and her shoes. Whoever is coming with you, they can bring their dresses and their shoes without even giving us prior notice, or they can make separate appointments as well. But we're ready. We're getting ready for the 2025 season. So
yeah,
we're excited. And we got 2 very special brides next year, our sisters. So we're helping with that. And yeah, it'll be the first, I think the very first like really intentional season where we have both of us. We have the studio completely done. We're not running around crazy. We don't have any newborns as of right now. And we'll just be smooth. I am not pregnant. Okay. I'm not planning on being for a very long time, if ever. So just saying that.
We're a 2 and done. So
yeah. When you had Everett's little like crib, do I call it
pack and play?
Pack and play. I don't know all the terms.
That's all right.
In the pink room up here, every time I gave a studio tour, we'd come upstairs. I'd be like, guys, just so you know, I am not pregnant. It is not my baby pack and play. It's Erin's. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, Everett grew up in that little pink room. It was so cute.
Yeah. So sweet.
Okay. So I got to get all my sewing talk out with you because all of my other podcast guests do not know how to sew. I want to talk about bridal hem lengths because that was kind of a big topic for us this year. It's very difficult to get it exactly right in quotes because you don't want to be tripping, but most brides don't want their shoes to show. And that's honestly an oxymoron. Okay. We can't have both things. So I prefer when the dress hem, that's the length of your skirt, okay, down by your shoes. I like when the hem is a little bit above the floor.
I agree. Just like a peekaboo of your shoe.
Peekaboo.
Just a peekaboo of your shoe just popping through. And I think a lot of times you get scared to show your shoes, but like you spent a good amount of money on your shoes. Show
your
them.
Shoes are cute.
Like
you're not wearing ugly shoes.
No, yeah. I mean, almost every time I think this season I've been a little bit more active with the fall brides than I did the summer brides, but they got cute shoes. Like, why not show them?
There's such cute shoes out there right now.
Yeah.
And I think the reason it's been a big topic this year and a little bit last year, the styles that are very popular right now are very slim skirt styles. So you got like this slim little crepe dress. And so therefore the dress hangs like straight to the ground, right in the front of you. Okay. So it goes from like your hips to your knees and like straight down to the ground. And pointed toe shoes are very in right now.
Yeah.
So you got your pointed toes sticking out, the little tip of your pointed toes sticking out from that hem. I mean, we cannot avoid that. Even if we do the hem longer, the little tips of your pointed toes are still going to show. So I suggest just bring it up off the ground so at least you're not tripping on it. And I'm not talking inches off the ground. Like I'm talking like a centimeter, really.
Yeah.
Like just that little bit so I don't have to worry about you tripping. Because my biggest fear and what keeps me up at night is brides tripping walking down the aisle. You're holding your bouquet and you're usually holding onto a man, so you don't have hands to lift the dress up if you needed to.
Yeah.
I'm so fearful of that. So, however, if you want the dress longer, if you're the type of person, like I do not want my shoes to show. They're always going to show when you're walking, by the way. But you don't want your shoes to show when you're standing still. We need to talk about that because I want to make sure that you understand that it's a tripping hazard. And as long as you understand that, then I'm good. I'll do whatever you want.
Yeah. A little spiel.
Don't suggest it, but I'll do that. At the end of the day, I'll do whatever you want. I just like to understand the downfalls of doing certain things.
Yeah. I think like for me and just like remembering my bride moments, it was really important for me to just feel confident walking. And I think that's one thing we always suggest is like go for a walk and like go for a walk around the studio exactly how you walk. Like don't, I'm going to walk like, because, I would love to say I walked like that. I'm going to say I did not. I just kind of like walked how I naturally walked, how my shoulders wanted to lay.
Mm-hmm.
Probably look down a little bit because I do look down when I walk
when
a little bit.
When you look down, the dress gets longer.
So then when I made my dress, I made it like kind of even shorter than short, like, but still long because I knew I would look down at some point walking down the aisle because that's just a natural thing for me. So treat your wedding dress like you would when you're walking around in jeans and a shirt, like, just this is how you walk, this is how you walk. And that way you feel confident walking down the aisle, exactly you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think that's good to test out the hem that way, but I do still suggest having good posture during the wedding day, just for the sake of photography looking nice. Okay.
Okay.
But I agree. You should be able to walk freely in your dress and your normal walking.
Yeah, that's good.
We could go on and on and on. I know it. But anything else, Erin?
I would say that like undergarments. I know we could talk about that one for hours too, but have an idea or, talk to Sarah prior to or Abigail, like, try to get some sort of idea of what you want so you can bring it into the fitting and you have what you need. I know we always say shoes, but, having the proper undergarments does really help too. And being able to use them properly, and Sarah's got all those techniques of the Boombas, so she'll be able to help you through that process. And I'm learning too, because I've never worked with them before too, so that's super great.
Boombas have been great for tight fitted dresses. And by the way, I do have a coupon code Sarah Kolis 10. But another thing on that note, if you know what undergarments you want to wear, yes, have them ready. But also, you're coming in for your wedding dress fitting like 6 to 8 weeks before the wedding. So at that time, I can discuss undergarment options with you and give you my suggestions, and you can order them and have them for the second fitting. So don't freak out if you don't know what you want. And by the way, usually less is more, but we can definitely chat through that. But if you know what you want, get them ready for your first fitting. And you also need your shoes, okay? Order your shoes as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think just like having an idea of what you want is really good because it's hard for you to imagine what your dress is going to look like if you don't have your stuff with you. Like if you don't have the support, then you can't imagine what the front's going to look like. And we can talk you through the process, but I know for me, I'm a very visual person, so I need to see some sort of result on myself so that I feel confident, yes, I want to go that route, or no, I do not, because I don't like the way that looks. I don't like the way it's making this little, poke here or whatever, and then that way you can make a direct decision about what you want.
Yeah, that's a great point. Have you had a favorite dress of the season this year?
Yes. I think you already know what it is.
I do. I got to remember.
Oh my goodness. There was this such a beautiful dress. It was a long sleeve, which I am not a long sleeve type of person. Sorry, long sleeve people, but I just like, because I got married in summer, I think I just couldn't even imagine a long sleeve. But this girl was getting married in the fall and it was a long sleeve, but the lace on the dress was just so elegant. It was like these tulle gathered pieces with just a little row of beads around it. and it just gave me like total Disney princess vibes, but modern. I can't, like, it was just so beautiful. And the bride, oh my goodness, she was so happy.
That's
Like,
what we
and she
want.
just twirled around it like a little like Disney princess. And oh my gosh, like I was like getting teary-eyed with her mom getting teary-eyed and with the bride. I'm like, oh gosh, like, we enjoy all those moments with you guys too. And I just remember that one. She was just so special. And her mom wanted to do everything special for that day. And you could just see like their relationship was just radiating in the room. It was such a beautiful dress. It's so well made. And yeah, it just fit her like a glove too, like very fitted in the top, but then like a really tulle, but not poofy, just like tulle gently laying dress with all these really beautiful appliques of lace that was gathered tulle with the gentle bead around. It was very beautiful.
We like things that are different because we see a lot of the same thing over and over.
Yeah.
And so we just get really excited when things are different.
Yes. What about yours?
So I think it just happens to be coincidence that my favorite dress was one that was picked up yesterday. Bride's name is Cameron. I believe it was a silk shantung type material with this kind of geometric beading on it. It was just really different and beautiful, and it just looked very couture to me. So I just love that one.
I think that's the fun thing about it. Like I said, it feels like a little bit of Christmas when we go to open up the bags and we're not sure what's inside. And it's just so fun because when we get those unique ones and you're like, oh my gosh, I've never seen anything like this. And sometimes I feel like we think we've already seen everything. I'm sure you feel like that too. Like with bridal dresses, you're just like, there's nothing like there's nothing new under the sun, right? Like bridal dresses are bridal dresses, like, but there is.
Mm-hmm. They'll surprise you sometimes.
There's
those fashion forward brides. Oh, just so good.
It's so fun. I enjoy it. Like sometimes it's like, pinch me, is this my job? Like,
I know.
Yeah.
Every day. And it's great when we now get like this gorgeous studio. You have your little corner, I have my little corner.
Yeah.
Erin brought in, actually, this is so full circle. The sewing machine that Erin works on every day happens to be a sewing machine that used to be at the David's Bridal that we worked at. Erin bought it when they were trying to get rid of it. And then I kind of bought it from Erin. And so now we have a David's Bridal machine here in our studio. It's a really good quality machine.
Yeah.
I mean, these industrials are crazy good.
I'm pretty sure that machine is crazy old. Like my husband and I were trying to figure out how old it was because it's got to be at least 30 plus years old, I bet.
It'll last forever.
Yeah. As long as you maintain it, those things, they got quality of life.
So Erin has like the sturdy workhorse machine and I have like the dainty home sewing machine. So it works great. I've found for bridal, there's some situations where you need my machine and there's some situations where you need hers. And that's great. And then we got our bobbin winder machine essentially back here and then the serger here that we use on occasion as well. So we're on the upstairs floor of the studio. So this is my first time recording a podcast episode up here. So I just thought I'd give everybody a different viewpoint. This is kind of our big cutting table back here. We got mannequins and dress forms, fabric, and all the dresses that we're working on, our ironing station here. We got these beautiful windows that look into the yard where we always point out what wildlife is going on back there, which I love because I used to work in just like this dungeon of a basement. So now it's just so much better here. So
we liked our little turkey family this year.
We watched them grow up.
They're very big now.
Family, I know. They're so cute. And even working at David's, we didn't have windows back there because what's the reason? It's like
they don't think that they wanted anybody to see us working on sewing and stuff.
It's probably for the better. We never knew what the weather was like back there.
Yeah, you would like walk out and be like snowing or walk out and be like drenched rain and you're like, oh, okay.
Surprising.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'd like come up with an excuse to go to the front of the store just to see what the weather was like. I'm like, I gotta go get something from the register or whatever. And then working in automotive too, like the stuff that Erin and I were working on, these car seats that weren't yet out yet. It was very like secretive, confidential information. So I didn't have windows at all the places. You did?
Yeah.
Oh,
I actually
that's
did have a
nice.
nice view.
Oh, I didn't.
I had like one of the nicer views of like the place. It's like a little woodsy area. but it was all
that's
like
so
the
nice.
windows that you can't see from the inside. So I could see out, but no one could see in.
Oh, that's the key.
Yeah.
And then also my first job was I was a preschool gymnastics coach, and there were no windows in the gym there either. All of my jobs up until working in the studio, none of them had windows. And so that was always a really big thing for me. I'm like, I'll know I've made it when I can look out a window when I'm working.
1, 2, 3,
So
4. Yeah,
we
say,
put a lot.
So many windows out here.
I'm like, I'm getting my windows. I'm such a window person. Anyway, Erin, this was so much fun. I love reminiscing on the story of us, and I can't say how thankful I am that you're here. And
I'm so
getting
excited.
to work together has been just absolutely incredible. And I'm just so thankful that we were able to make this happen. I love that I'm not alone when I'm working now. I get to chit chat with someone, and we've gotten to know each other even more. We see each other almost every day, and I love it.
Yes, it's been great. I'm so thankful to be here too. And I'm so excited to meet the brides this year. Hopefully I get to see some bridal faces this year and not just be upstairs.
So you'll all be meeting Erin on occasion as well, which is great.
So we're excited for that. And
and if all goes well, we're going to be working together forever.
Yeah. We always joke around until we're old. So then it'll make more sense. We'll be old lady sewers.
Yes. It'll all come into place.
Just take years for us to get there. Okay?
Yes. Slowly, Erin, aging slowly.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And
this won't be the last time you're on the podcast. No, catch up sometime, maybe in the summer, if we can take a quick little break from all the craziness of the wedding season, but talk more, you're the only person I could really talk sewing stuff to. So
maybe we'll come back with some like little tips for bride.
If you guys have ideas on what you want us to talk about and really dive into, please let us know. Also, I've mentioned this before, a series of podcasts with real brides. So if you're a bride looking to come for alterations, or you've already completed alterations with me, even if you're someone I worked with like 4 years ago, I don't care. I'd love to chat with you. So DM us or email us, or just somehow let us know, and we'll send you the link to book that so we can get you on the podcast. It would be so much fun. And then also, if you're still listening, because I know this is a long episode, but rating and reviewing the podcast, you hear that all the time, but we want you to do that, okay? It helps the podcast, and it's just something so small that will take just a few minutes that would really help us out and support our cute little small business we've got going here. Anyway, thank you all for listening. Thanks, Erin, for being here. We got to get back to work. We got some sewing to do. So we're going to turn this off and get back to doing what we were doing. So thanks for listening. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope this episode has allowed you to approach the world with greater confidence in your own personal style. If you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out through email or the inquiry form on the website. I hope you are all ready to go and get dressed up. I look forward to sharing more dressing up tips with you in future episodes. Thanks so much.